It came wrapped in ceremony. No threat, no whispers of poison or knives. This time, they came in full daylight. Generals, ministers, and foreign observers all watching. They summoned Captain Ibrahim Traoré to the grand parade ground. It looked like an honor, flags rippling, drums echoing, cadets in perfect formation. At the center stood a marble podium, a golden book resting on its stand, the Book of Honor, reserved for pledging undying loyalty to the nation's constitution and supreme command. No officer could refuse. Swearing on it was more than tradition. It was blood-binding. Traoré approached alone, his boots dusty against the polished stone. Crowds murmured as the announcer's voice boomed through loudspeakers. Today, Captain Ibrahim Traoré renews his oath, witnessed by the people and by history. General Burkina, the new face after Kassoma's downfall, stepped forward, all smiles but eyes cold as a blade. Captain, do you swear undivided loyalty to this chain of command? The trick was in the words. They didn't say the people. They said the chain of command, meaning them. Traoré paused. For the briefest heartbeat, the square held its breath. Then he laid his right hand on the Book of Honor. Voice steady, clear. I swear loyalty to the true spirit of this command, as written in the Constitution, to protect the people above all ambitions, to serve justice above all ranks, and to guard the nation against all enemies, within or without. A shiver rippled through the rows of cadets. Burkina flinched, forcing a smile. Very poetic, Captain. Do you accept the Council's direct orders without hesitation? Traoré's eyes didn't blink. I accept any order that honors this oath I just spoke. Word for word. Thunderous applause erupted, not from the generals, but from the ordinary soldiers lining the back fence. They had heard what mattered. Traoré had not sworn blind loyalty to men. He had sworn unbreakable loyalty to truth. That night, a young corporal scrawled it on the barrack wall. He swore to us, not to them. It spread like wildfire. And by dawn, what was meant to muzzle him became a blade pointed right back at the Council's throat. They thought the oath would bind him. Instead, it bound them. Because from that day on, Traoré had a weapon more lethal than any rifle: their own words. 2 days after the ceremony, a new directive came down. Confiscate farmland near the northern highway for military expansion. It sounded reasonable, except those fields fed 20,000 villagers. Traoré read the order, marked it with a red pencil, then copied the oath he'd sworn underneath. To protect the people above all ambitions. He returned the order unsigned. Command called him in. A room full of brass and ribbons. One colonel barked, "Captain, you defy council authority?" Traoré calmly slid the paper across the table. "I don't defy authority. I obey the oath, the same one you forced me to swear before the nation." A junior officer smirked in the corner. He had written the same oath on his helmet that morning. Next came an even dirtier test. A request to redirect surplus rations to a priority diplomatic delegation. Code 4, sell food on the black market. Again, Traoré stamped the request in violation of oath clause, filed it publicly, sent a copy to the base canteen manager, and to the Soldiers' Wives Association. Whispers turned to cheers behind closed doors. Young officers, inspired, began quoting the oath in their daily reports. Whenever they found a shady contract, a missing supply shipment, or a suspicious reassignment, they stamped it. Oath conflict, pending clarification. The council fumed. They called him insubordinate. Traoré countered not with protests, but with their own ceremony, replayed on loop. The footage showed him laying his hand on the Book of Honor, promising loyalty to the people, justice, protection from enemies within. The footage went viral. Even old village radios replayed his voice every night, like a prayer. Meanwhile, Burkina tried to regain control. He summoned Traoré privately, offered him a quiet compromise. "Drop this nonsense. Accept revised orders. We'll give you command of the new training corps. Double pay. No more noise." Traoré smiled gently. "General, you misunderstand. I'm not making noise. I'm removing it. That same night, soldiers from 3 provinces began signing oath letters to their local garrisons, vowing to reject any command that betrayed what Traoré had sworn publicly. A single sentence appeared on every letter. We serve the nation, not the council. They gave him a ceremony to bind him. Now that oath was the rope tightening around their own necks. The final blow came not with a coup, but with paperwork. Traoré compiled every rejected directive, every forged ration slip, every priority shipment that vanished behind locked warehouses, each stamped in red, violation of public oath. He didn't hide them. He sent copies to local garrisons. He read excerpts at training assemblies. He even mailed some directly to the council's own audit office, daring them to deny their signatures. Soldiers started asking questions in the open. If the council violates the oath, who do we obey? Village chiefs joined in. If farmland is seized, who feeds the army you claim to lead? For the first time, the council had no answer that didn't choke them on their own ceremony. So they tried to fight back the only way they knew, twist the law. They summoned a tribunal, accused Traoré of inciting insubordination. But the hearing wasn't behind closed doors this time. Soldiers crowded the hallways. Students watched through windows. Families gathered outside, radios pressed to ears. Ibrahim himself stood to read the charges. He rattled off each so-called offense, every refusal, every rejected order. He ended with, "This man undermined the chain of command." Traoré rose. No lawyers, no files in hand, just the same dusty uniform. He spoke clearly, each word striking like a hammer. You bound me with an oath. I honored it. You wrote it for the cameras. I lived it in the villages. If loyalty to you means breaking loyalty to the people, then I stand guilty. A hush swept the crowd. Then a slow, rolling chant began outside the building. He kept the oath! He kept the oath! Ibrahim's face turned gray. He slammed the gavel. Order! This is a court of discipline. But no one inside was listening anymore. A junior prosecutor rose, trembling, and said what everyone knew, but none dared say until now. General, by our own code, an oath broken by command nullifies the command itself. Silence. One line, and the council's power cracked like old marble. 3 days later, Ibrahim and his circle resigned under public pressure. A transitional board, made up of village elders, young officers, and civic leaders, was formed to rewrite the military charter. At its head stood the man they tried to bind with a golden book, Ibrahim Traoré. He never wore a crown, never called himself a savior. When asked what he'd write into the new charter, he said only, "No man shall swear loyalty to another man, only to the people." And on the marble podium where once he laid his hand for them, now sits an iron plaque. 5 words chiseled deep. An oath kept broke chains.